Good afternoon to you, Mark Sudduth, HurricaneTrack.com, here with your Hurricane Outlook and discussion for the 9th of June, 2016. Hope your Thursday is going well. Tropics is certainly quiet for today. Tropical cyclone activity not expected during the next 48 hours, so that's good. Nothing in the Atlantic Basin and nothing of any interest in the Eastern Pacific right now. This area also quiet over the next 48 hours, so that's good. Let's talk about some other things. The bi-weekly NOAA-NESDIS sea surface temperature anomaly map updated today. You can see that right here, June the 9th. And yep, we still have the cold ribbon developing in the Pacific, but I want to focus the attention now on the Atlantic Basin. This is very impressive what's been happening here in the eastern and now the northeast part of the Atlantic off the Iberian Peninsula. Very warm sea surface temperatures showing up now. This anomaly right here, I mean, look, you can see down here it's almost a degree Celsius above normal. The cold area starting to shrink a little bit. And then, of course, as I mentioned in yesterday's Outlook video, very warm in the western Atlantic, the Caribbean, and the Gulf. But this right here is interesting to me because it was a lot colder than this just a few weeks ago. And that, I think, went into some of the predictions for this year's hurricane season. The main development region as a whole, you can clearly see through here, nice and warm. And this is a zoomed in image of it. And boy, you can really see that. Look right here off of Portugal and Spain near the Canary Islands along the northwest coast of Africa here. Sea surface temperature anomalies in there, a half a degree to a degree, maybe a degree and a half Celsius. It's hard to tell with some of these pixel colors, but what I can clearly see is there's no blue, all right? And it's not just this yellow color in here, which is basically neutral or right where it should be at average. No, sir, you're looking at several different gradations of these pixels in here, and that shows me that we are talking about some fairly substantial positive anomalies, and that also is the case between Africa and the Lesser Antilles. So we'll see. As I mentioned yesterday, the Euro seasonal forecast indicating more hurricane activity than its earlier runs. However that all works, I don't get to see the details of it, just what people post who do have access to that, and it's indicating a busy season ahead. So again, this is what it looks like now. You want to see a shocker? You ready for this? 1 year ago, this is what it looked like this time last year. Wow. The Pacific, wasn't on fire, but that's a good metaphor, I guess. North Pacific just crazy here. I mean, wow, that was a heck of an El Nino, right? And then look in the Atlantic Basin, what it looked like last year. Cold off the Iberian Peninsula, cold through the main development region. And as you can see today, oh yeah, what a difference. So we'll see. I think the next several weeks might be quiet. You never say never, but we don't have any strong MJO activity moving through. I think this is setting us up for a busy August, September, and October. So you better be ready. I think the hurricanes are coming. I just don't know where they're going. So if I knew that, I'd tell you. Trust me. So what we're going to do, since it's nice and quiet, and of course we planned this months ago, and we just got lucky that it's going to be quiet. This, folks, is Pratt, Kansas. What's that have to do with hurricanes? We're going to be heading there Sunday to launch a weather balloon that's going to hoist a payload high into the atmosphere, way up high, something like the view would be probably like this, if not higher. Way, way up, 100,000 feet or so. That's what we're hoping for. And this is what the payload looks like. We call this our Hurricane Research Balloon payload. This is a weather sensor here that's going to capture pressure, humidity, and temperature every 6 seconds. Inside of the little case here, the Pelican case, a GPS receiver, both on APRS and a spot locator, satellite-based beacon. There's one GoPro camera here. There's another one you can't see on the other side. One faces down, and the other one faces upward towards the balloon. And then this is the antenna for the APRS transmitter, and that will send a radio beacon out over amateur radio frequency, and that'll be on my call sign, by the way. And we'll tweet that information when we're ready to launch, and you'll be able to track it in real time, and that'll include the weather data. This is what it looks like from last year's testing in Texas. There's the payload This is our colleague Carrie. There's me. And then here's this balloon with about a 30-foot cord. There's the parachute, and the balloon hoists everything up. About a 5-pound payload just under that. And it goes up to burst altitude. This balloon will get to about 30 feet in diameter. At launch, it's about 7 feet across. And it bursts, and the balloon comes back down to, or the payload comes back down to Earth. This parachute will open up, and it sails back down, and we go find it because it'll tell us where it is. So somewhere in the open countryside of Kansas on Sunday, our balloon will go up. It looks like it's going to go up and maybe turn back with the upper level winds and then burst and then come back down and land somewhere not far from Pratt, to be honest with you. All the balloon prediction models that I have looked at shows fairly light winds in the upper levels. It's going to be very hot out here in the 90s. Hopefully light winds at the surface, which will make launching easier and the recovery easy as well. And the whole region's a nice grid system. Even the dirt roads between the major highways are easy to navigate. The tornado chasers know that. Of course, they become muddy and I think somewhat like death traps, unfortunately, when they get muddy. If you get stuck out there, especially in a sedan or a non-four-wheel drive or something real heavy, and you get bogged down, that could be a problem. Well, no such issues this weekend for our test launch of the Hurricane Research Balloon payload. Looks like it's just going to be hot and dry and a nice atmosphere, literally speaking, to test the technology. That's what we want to do. And that's why we're testing it in Kansas, way out in the middle of the country, because we need the recovery and the launch and all that to be easy. That's not what the issue is. We want to make sure the payload functions like it should, that it collects the data, that it transmits its information, that the GoPros record as they should, the angles are correct, because this is what we want to see. We want to send it up through the eye of a hurricane. Of course, this is from the International Space Station, several hundred miles above the Earth. Our payload would go no more than about 20 miles up, but we want to send it through the eye, have it go out, burst somewhere above the hurricane, some 60,000 feet looking down on it, and then it'll fall back down somewhere maybe in the spiral bands. We don't know. That's part of this whole project, is discovery. We want to see what happens and what information we can gather. So the best way to do that is to practice, and we've had 4 years to do that, and I think this is going to be the year that we get to launch it in a hurricane. And we'll even do it in the right tropical storm if conditions present themselves. So we shall see. So if you're around Sunday, check out Twitter, and we'll be posting. I am at Hurricane Track on Twitter, and we'll be posting information about the launch, and I'll put video clips on Instagram and Facebook and YouTube and all that good stuff to try to keep you abreast of what we are doing. And of course, we'll stream whatever we can live from our Everywhere Cam on our Ustream channel, and that'll be right on HurricaneTrack.com, and I'll tweet that info as well, so it'll be easy for you to find. All right? So that's it from me for today. Have a good rest of your Thursday. Thanks, as always, for tuning in. I am Mark Sudduth, HurricaneTrack.com, and I'll talk to you again next week when I get back.